Should my child take the SAT or the ACT? I think the answer to this now is pretty simple. With the release of the new digital SAT, the new digital SAT is definitely the exam students should take. And the reason for this I'll go over in a second, but just to be really clear for all of you, colleges do not prefer one exam over the other. You can have an SAT score or ACT score. As long as it's a high score, they will accept it and oftentimes offer you scholarships, etc. Neither scholarships have no preference either. I know there may be students in your area that prefer the ACT, but let me show you why you should actually prefer this new digital SAT. So when you compare the ACT versus the new digital SAT, you'll see that the total testing time for the ACT is 2 hours and 55 minutes versus the new digital SAT is 2 hours and 14 minutes. So it's about 40 minutes shorter than the ACT. So it's a much shorter exam than new digital. On top of that, the number of questions, it's crazy. The ACT actually has 215 questions versus the new digital SAT has just 98 questions. So there's literally less than half of the questions on the new digital SAT compared to the ACT. The time per question. So the ACT only gives you 49 seconds per question versus the new digital SAT gives you 1 minute and 22 seconds. So you get almost, not double the time, but close to double the time per question. So if your student struggles with finishing standardized tests on time, the new digital SAT is going to give them more time per question than any previous SAT and definitely way more than the ACT. Math. So for ACT, the highest level of math is trigonometry, and they have 4 to 6 questions related to trigonometry on the ACT, versus the new digital SAT only contains 2 to 3 trigonometry questions. So there's far less difficult questions on the new digital on the highest level of math compared to the ACT. Writing and English section. So the ACT contains 75 questions with an optional essay versus the writing section on the new digital SAT has only 27 questions and no essay. For the reading section of the ACT, there are long 750-word passages with multiple questions versus the new digital SAT has just short 50 to 150 word passages with 1 question per passage. So this is great news for students who struggle with passage-based comprehension reading questions. The new digital SAT now just has really short passages, 1 question per passage, versus ACT's got really long 750 word passages, a lot more content to digest. Hopefully that answers your question on why I think the new digital SAT is the perfect exam for most students. Of course, I know some of you will still prefer the ACT because you've been prepping for it, etc. And we, of course, offer ACT courses at Prep Expert as well. But I think this new digital SAT is going to have far more students taking it because of all of those reasons I just shared.